Good morning and welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at the pitching for today. It is Sunday, the 15th of September. We do have a 7-game main slate on DraftKings. I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where the majority of my action is. If you're on FanDuel, I would cut my pool into a half or even a third. Pricing isn't as tight, scoring system being different allows us to really focus on high K pitchers over on FanDuel. Prize pools for tournaments today are kind of shitty. I'm sorry. I wish I had more control over them, but unfortunately I do not. So we have to work with what they've given us. But we're here to talk about pitching. First look wise, it's actually nearly midnight as I recorded the night before. But let's dig in and take a look at some pitching. At the top, we get Mackenzie Gore with a K prop of 5.5. Had a couple of really strong outings, one of which came against the same Miami squad that he's facing. Struggled a bit against Atlanta. Some defensive issues for Washington really caused that one to get out of hand. He's made 2 starts against Miami, has 19 strikeouts in those 2 starts. His K numbers are best when at home, which is where he's at. His walk rate skyrockets as well, though. He's not safe by any means, but he is somebody that I like to play, and he's had so much success against Miami. He's sitting as a minus 185 favorite right now as well. Somebody that we just have to roll with for GPP purposes. But the fact that he's the most expensive pitcher on the slate really says a lot for this slate. Carlos Rodon has had some struggles against Boston. He's pitching at home where he's been phenomenal. K rate is slightly better at home. Walk rate slightly better. Home runs allowed rate slightly better, even though he does allow plenty of home runs. He's been pretty good, obviously, 21 plus in 3 out of his last 4 starts. And the last 2, he hasn't picked up W's where he would have went for 25 and 35. I like those trends. Tougher matchup, but he is a minus 175 favorite right now, which feels pretty strong, to be honest. I do not see a K prop right now. Let me refresh that prop just to see. Do not see one listed yet, so it is what it is. But Rodon's certainly in play for GPPs, but not somebody I'm going to rely heavily on. The problem is it doesn't really look like we have pitching that we should be relying heavily on as of right now. Jared Jones started out the year pretty impressive. Was hurt for a while. His last start was really strong. Too bad it was against Washington. Kansas City, a little more dangerous team. Kansas City doesn't strike out nearly as much. His K prop's at 5.5. It's basically a coin flip. He is a slight favorite at minus 112. Game total of 8. A lot of the Vegas numbers kind of put him in play for me, and I think we might have to roll with it on this particular slate. David Peterson taking on the Phillies. It's an interesting spot. I think there's some upside to him. He is an underdog. The Phillies are minus 148 favorites. He does have a K prop of 4.5 with juice on the over. There are some outs to be had and some upside in it. Obviously, 2 out of his last 5 starts, he has 8 plus strikeouts. So he does have upside, but like much of the guys that we brought up so far, there is some volatility to him on the slate. Overall numbers not quite as strong when pitching on the road. That also stands out to me. K rate plummets quite a bit. But he has picked up a win in half of his starts, which I feel like that's a pretty strong rate with the way that today's baseball has gone. I used to dig into that just to get an idea of how often a pitcher was getting a W in starts. But it does feel like a pretty solid number. With that said, I don't know that he wins this particular start. Brady Singer is much better at home, and he's obviously pitching on the road. His Ks have been down lately. Um, it's really tough to like him, other than the fact that his K prop's 5.5. He's pitching in a pretty good park for pitchers. A very slight underdog, game total of just 8. He might be somebody that we have to sneak in just because the options kind of suck on the slate, to be honest. Christopher Sanchez wasn't all that great against the Mets first time, but huge home road splits. He's pitching at home, his best split. Um, he's been solid the last handful of starts. Like I mentioned, he is a favorite against the Mets, a minus 148 favorite. K prop of 5.5, but juices solidly on the under. Um, if the Mets are without Lindor again at the top of the lineup, I think that strengthens Sanchez's case. Um, I think he's got enough upside that I definitely trust him more than Singer and Peterson. I'd probably put him in the Jared Jones category. Um, somebody that could certainly get it done, um, but I'm not overly confident that he actually will. Taj Bradley dominated Cleveland the first time he faced them. Overall numbers not very strong on the road. Like his K rate just absolutely plummets. It's a lead at home and it's not all that great on the road. He's going to allow runs. Probably going to allow some home runs. He just does that. Um, has K upside. The problem is Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton. K prop sitting at 5.5 right now. He's a slight road dog. Cleveland sitting at minus 135. Game total of just 8. Uh, Bradley's somebody that I try to play a lot. I just don't think I'm going to get there on this slate, to be honest. Adam Aller, not really considering it. He had a couple of strong starts, come back down to earth the last couple. A lot of walks, not really a big K guy. Home run issues potentially. I get the matchup. Washington isn't super dangerous, but K prop of just 3.5. I think it's better to go elsewhere. JP Sears, definitely somebody that's going to carry some ownership. Um, he was solid against Houston, just didn't pick up any strikeouts, which we kind of expected, given that Houston doesn't strike out a whole lot. He dominated the White Sox first time he faced them. He's been best on the road this year, which is kind of shocking, considering how much of a pitcher's park Oakland is. I assume he's a pretty strong favorite. K prop of 4.5 with juice on the over, sitting as a minus 192 favorite. Kind of no doubt in my mind that he's going to end up the chalkiest pitcher on this slate. Like he and Gore probably feel like the chalk combination. Cutter Crawford against the Yankees, probably not going there. Um, he's racked up strikeouts against them this year in 3 starts, but he's also allowed a bunch of home runs. Um, decent recently. I just don't think I'm going to go there. Uh, maybe there's enough K upside to make him viable. Lively was pretty solid against Tampa Bay the first time. He did allow 2 solo home runs, but aside from that, was pretty solid. Obviously, somebody that I have not been playing a ton. He just started, I guess it was 4 days ago, um, where he left with a thigh issue. Uh, that's obviously a concern, if it pops back up. He's not a huge K guy, so um, we kind of have to rely on him going a little deeper in games. He is a minus 135 favorite, like I did mention. Um, K prop of 4.5 with juices on the under. I think he's in play, but again, he's going to fall well behind Sears down here um, as in our options. Anibal Rodriguez is somebody I want to play. He's coming off a really strong start against Atlanta. The issue again, like he's just never going deep. I mean, he did go 6 2/3 at one point and one other start at 6 innings. He's kind of being kept at the 80 pitch mark again, it looks like. Um, I think he's a pretty big reverse splits guy, so I think it might depend on what kind of lineup St. Louis sends out there. If they are somewhat right hand heavy, I don't think it's a great spot. But they can get pretty left hand heavy with the guys on their team. So he might be a dart throw GPP option for us on the slate. But there we have it. There's the first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.